There's something special about stealth games, especially the games made in the 90s and early 2000s. These games had so much replayability, simply for the fact that you could take different routes and methods of progression. You could go in guns blazing, or be more cautious and ignore the enemies. One of these games showcased this very principle perfectly. I'm Amnon, and today we are talking about a game series that took stealth to the next level and helped lay down the foundation for some of the most famous games made by the very same developers, From Software. So I currently don't have my studio set up because I'm in the process of moving. So there may be audio hiccups here and there, so just keep that in mind. Thank you. The Tenchu series is a ninja-themed stealth assassination game series that started in 1998 with the first game in the series, Tenchu Stealth Assassins, with the last entry in the series happening in 2006 with Tenchu Z, not including the spin-off games. The series was developed by From Software, who are now mostly known for their work in the Souls series, which is very obvious when you play these games. Especially Tenchu Wrath of Heaven, which is the Tenchu game I grew up with. I consider Tenchu Wrath of Heaven to have the most content and the best content out of all of the games. The purpose of this video is to go over how amazing the Tenchu games were and discussing why the series died. This is something I am not 100% sure of, but something I do have my own opinions on. And hey, a guy can speculate. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the most important thing when it comes to a game like Tenchu. And for this video, I'm going to be focusing on Wrath of Heaven for obvious reasons. Where Tenchu and the Souls series differ the most are on the biggest aspect of Tenchu, stealth. The Tenchu series focused on stealth more than any other game I've ever seen, which makes sense considering the games are all about ninjas. The games innovated when it came to the mechanics. They had such tiny details hidden in the game that games nowadays never seem to have the courage to focus on. One of my favorite details in the game is that there were beehives around maps, small ones, that were mostly just for decoration. Yet, if you tried to attack the beehive, you would actually get attacked by bees, which would cause the player character to panic and make a bunch of noise, which would alert nearby NPCs that someone is outside. This is something huge I need to talk about, the noise. In the games, there was a round noise and location monitor next to your health. This would show you how many steps away the nearest NPC was, if they were suspicious, sleeping, or even angry. So if you go sneaking around and accidentally ran instead of walked, or fell into water, or walked into a puddle making noise, the NPC, if close enough, would hear you, making the monitor have a big sign letting you know they are investigating whether or not you exist. Not only were these games mostly just stealth assassination levels, they also had boss battles that looked extremely similar to the Souls games, especially in Wrath of Heaven. And just like the Souls games, they are hard as balls. I remember playing Wrath of Heaven on the PlayStation 2, spending so many days just on the one boss in the first level. He had this sick special move that was almost a one-hit kill, where he would grab you and throw you up in the air while yelling, "Die, baby!" then shooting you with a side pistol repeatedly. As far as I can remember, he was the only character in the game that had a gun. But boy was he fun to play in the multiplayer mode. And as you can see, after all these years playing the game, it got a little too easy for me. It got kind of hard to try to get him to do the correct sequence, and I ended up just getting this one version. The reason I say Wrath of Heaven had the most content was because of all the cheat codes the game had. There was even a cheat code that gave you a bonus level where you would fall into a portal and then get transported to current day America. Current day being the 90s. Then you had to sneak your way through a corporate building, killing security guards as you made your way to the evil CEO. This level I didn't beat until I played the game on my PC emulator 2 years ago. When I attempted this level to get footage for this video, I had to use old healing cheats just to beat it. As you can see, it's a tad hard. Honestly, I could go on forever about how much gameplay mechanics it had, or how in-depth and content-filled the games were. But then, this video might end up being way too long. Who knows? Maybe when the channel gets bigger, I'll return to Wrath of Heaven for its own video. But for now, I need to move on to the next topic. The Tenchu series compared to other From Software games sold rather poorly. Not bad in a sense, just not amazing. In total, altogether, the Tenchu series sold 10 million units, including the spin-off games. Meanwhile, Dark Souls 3 alone sold over 10 million units. Which would explain why not too many people know what Tenchu is, or that it even was the testing ground for a lot of Dark Souls mechanics. Some of the very last Tenchu games that were made were only for the PSP, which didn't help people discover the game. Or they tried those terrible portable titles and it gave them a bad taste in the mouth, to the point of not trying the actual games that were on home consoles. Most of the downfall from Tenchu came from its most recent series game after Wrath of Heaven, being mostly uninspired or even just being flat out messy, like Tenchu Z. And once everyone got a taste of the Souls games, they quickly forgot about the faint memory of Tenchu, which caused the owners of the Tenchu franchise to lose interest in the series, because the Souls games were doing so good, and they would make more money just continuing on those games. Tenchu is just one of those things I grew up on, expecting everyone to know and love. But as I look online, it seems that Tenchu is mostly forgotten. Could it be Tenchu Z just not being as big as the devs were expecting? I'm honestly not too sure. But for me, the games meant so much. Tenchu was the main thing I bonded with when my older brother was in my room. Even after he moved out, I still played the game constantly. It was just such an edgy game to a 6-year-old. Something I thought was the coolest thing ever. Not to mention, Wrath of Heaven had the best video game soundtrack of all time, as that is the music I chose to go with this very video. I even dressed as a ninja one Halloween, only because of Tenchu. Even today, I can still power through the Tenchu games, as if they were brand new. I would like to claim that it's because they're just that good and still hold up today. And you would like to claim it's simply because I grew up with them. Hence, I'm nostalgic for them. But in reality, it has to do with a bit of both. So you can only imagine how excited I was when From Software released a teaser trailer for their new Tenchu game. Or did they? I was so freaking pumped while watching the short teaser for the unnamed game trailer that was posted on December 7th, 2017 on the From Software YouTube channel, which showed a mechanical thing of some sort which had a knife inside of it, then ending with the phrase, "Shadows die twice." This phrase being important because in Wrath of Heaven the main character reveals he was simply a shadow the whole time, and his shadow dies. Then the real him shows up and beats the boss. As you can tell, this truly looked like their new game was going to pick up where Wrath of Heaven left off. And they were. Only one problem, the higher-ups at the company didn't feel that a Tenchu game would end up making any money, and that it would be safer to make a new IP. So From Software had to get to work, reworking the new Tenchu game into Sekiro. This being very obvious in the grapple hook and the stealth feeling very similar to the old Tenchu games. Obviously, I and many other Tenchu fans were heartbroken that a new Tenchu game was ripped from our hands. While the Sekiro game is very good, I feel that it really lost something in not becoming a new Tenchu game. This is something that really hurts. I've even considered learning game development just so I can make my own sequel. But as I have discovered, game development is hard. So for now, all I can do is hope people once again remember Tenchu, and that From Software decide to make a new Tenchu game again. But stick with it this time. So if you work at From Software, please convince the others to bring back Tenchu. As for now, I'm AimNone. Remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.